My next patron question is from Rochelle, who wants to know who I think will buy Warner Brothers. If you've been following some of the recent entertainment news, you'll know that Paramount and Netflix are currently in a battle to see who will be the next owner of Warner Brothers. Comcast was also part of discussions to buy the studio, but they have since pulled out. There was also a rumor that Sony was interested, but then they publicly said they have zero plans to acquire WB. So at the moment, it looks like it's between Netflix and Paramount, and both have been extremely aggressive. Netflix is even so confident they already sent an email to subscribers basically saying, oh, it's absolutely happening, even though the sale has not been made official yet, and there's still a bunch of regulatory approval to get through. It's important to mention that Netflix is only buying the film, television, and game studios, as well as HBO Max, while the television networks will remain with Discovery. So yes, we could be living in a reality where Cartoon Network and Warner Brothers Animation belong to separate companies. Paramount and their parent company Skydance, on the other hand, are trying to buy everything. That would mean Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon living under the same corporate umbrella, which is insane. Warner Brothers seems to be favoring Netflix, although again, government approval is needed in order for it to officially go through. That's why Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos and Skydance CEO David Ellison have been busily courting current US President Donald Trump to try and win him over to their side. Ellison does have family connections since his father, Oracle founder Larry Ellison, is a big supporter of Trump and their buddies. Meanwhile, Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner was pitching in to help fund Skydance's acquisition of Warner Brothers, although he has since withdrawn. That was probably a major conflict of interest, though. You would think this might give Paramount Skydance the edge, but Sarandos is savvy enough to also try and bread Trump's butter. Leaving the political aspect aside, though, it does seem like Netflix is ahead in this fight, and Warner Brothers Discovery's board of directors has been rejecting every offer Ellison has sent them. So of these two, you might be wondering who I would prefer. Honestly, I would say neither, and I think it's kind of scummy for David Zaslav to take over Warner Brothers and then decide to sell it for parts only a few short years later, while leaving a cancelled Batgirl movie and sold-out Looney Tunes films in his wake. But if I have to choose, Netflix is the least bad option of these two. Under Netflix, Warner Brothers could probably still continue to make about the same number of prestige films, horror movies, and blockbusters they've become known for in recent years. Netflix has been desperately trying to show they have the might to make Oscar contenders and crowd-pleasing hits and attract talent. Warner Brothers can certainly provide that for them, and the likes of DC Comics, Lord of the Rings, The Conjuring, and Hanna-Barbera could sit alongside K-pop Demon Hunters and the Roald Dahl catalog in future Narnia projects. Warner Brothers even has the film rights to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Although it should be noted the MonsterVerse and Doom movies are produced by Legendary, so we'll see what happens there. The major sticking point is Netflix's stance on theatrical releases. Sarandos has been clear for years that he thinks these should be shorter and he does not view them as a priority. And while he did recently say he would still honor WB's theatrical commitments, it's common for CEOs to say one thing before merger or acquisition and then do something else after it's approved and finalized. Paramount Skydance buying Warner Brothers would basically be like when Disney bought 20th Century Fox. You have one major studio gobbling up another major studio and likely reducing the number of films they make. While Minecraft Movie 2 and the DC films will probably still move forward in production, would films like One Battle After Another and Sinners be made in a Skydance-owned WB? We've already seen a reduction in the number of 20th century films made after the Disney merger, so that gives us some idea of how WB's slate could lessen. Plus, the idea of the number of major Hollywood studios going down from 5 to 4 is not something that sits right with me. Like I said, I don't think either of these options are great, and I'm surprised a company not involved with the film industry is not swooping in to buy Warner Brothers. Think about when Sony bought Columbia Pictures. That's proven to be a happy marriage, with Sony indicating, even during off years for the studio and events like the email hack, that they don't want to sell it off. Why aren't multi-billion-dollar companies like Porsche or Samsung getting in on this? Why is it only companies who already have movie studios or directly competing with them that want Warner Brothers? We'll see what happens after Warner Brothers has been sold off, but I have to say it's been sad watching this legendary film studio being punted from one owner to the next. The home of Bugs Bunny, Rick Blaine, and Superman deserves better. Thank you for your question, Rochelle.